There's a theme I see online a lot about how I'm so lonely in Japan or I couldn't make friends in Japan. There's a lot of like videos about that theme, and then if you look on, places like Reddit or other forums, there's just this common theme you see everywhere about, how do I make friends in Japan? Today I'm not going to really talk about like how to make friends necessarily, but just some of the things that make making friends in Japan difficult, or I guess some of the things might be like common in any foreign country you go to, but like specifically how cultural aspects of Japan make it maybe more difficult. I, for one, don't have many Japanese friends, I'd say. Mainly like people that I met before my current work. Like, so basically the time that I was studying, I made a lot of friends, both foreign and Japanese. But now that I'm in my adult life here, I'm not able to connect with them a lot of the times. And when I do connect, I mean, it's just, we'll meet up once every 6 months or something. And then after that, kind of go our separate ways because we're both so busy in different companies. And I mean, we'll talk every now and then. But in general, I think you'll find it's pretty hard to match up with other people's schedules here in Japan. I don't know, once you both get busy with work, you'll ask a Japanese person, if they want to hang out or something. And I think a common theme you'll find is that they'll be like, okay, when do you want to hang out? And I'm open this day, this day, and this day. These dates will be like at least a month out. I mean, minimum. And sometimes it'll be like, oh, I've got school till the end of so-and-so month, like 2 months out or something. When do you want to hang out? And that is so different from where I come from in the US, where like, if you ask someone if they want to hang out, you're talking like maybe within a week or 2 weeks max, so that's a really different cultural point. And when they say that, coming from the US anyway, in my experience, like when I heard that for the first time, I'm like, okay, do you just not want, like, is that an excuse to not hang out or something? I mean, like 2 months out, but that's a common theme, like with various people, and they actually do want to hang out. Like, I should put that up front, like they really do, but at least in their mind, they need to block it out ahead of time. And it's not always like that. I mean, sometimes if they're actually open, they'll schedule something soon, but I think you'll find the schedules of a lot of Japanese people that are full-time workers anyway will be filled up with things like business events or nomikais, or they work so much that their days off they really just want to spend relaxing or chilling or doing errands. So it does seem a lot harder to match up schedules here. So I just said the word nomikai. What does that mean? Well, it means like drink, meeting or drinking party. And so nomikai is just when you go out to drink with your workers, or it could be a different group, like if you're in a club or something, you go out and drink, and that's called a nomikai. So at Japanese companies, you're always going to have nomikai. I mean, I've never heard of a company that doesn't have nomikais. I mean, it would be really strange if a company didn't have that. Probably not with the whole company, but your department or something will go out to drink, or even your just small team that'll go out to drink together on a given night, right? This really depends on the group and the company, but it's not uncommon to happen like bi-weekly or something. Someone's always going to be going out every week, but one you'll feel like somewhat obligated to go out with would be like probably bi-weekly. It's an event where, you'll go and, I mean, you're drinking, so obviously to some extent these norms surrounding like office banter and stuff are loosened. You'll talk to each other just about stuff that you would never talk about at work, relationships, how's your life going, stuff like that. But there is still, I mean, you're going to see everyone in this group at work the next day, so there is still some formality there, as there would be probably anywhere in the world. The reason I'm going into nomikai culture here is because you're going to be spending so much time with these people, but if asked if they're your friends, or in my case, I guess, if they're asked if they're my friends, there are some that I would like to be friends with, maybe even outside of work. They're interesting people, seem cool to hang out with, but the thing is, they're so involved in work, like even more than me, and so they're going to be going to all these nomikais. If you wanted to schedule something with them, it would probably have to be on like a national holiday or something to hang out with them. Not to mention, I mean, most days you're working within the company or doing something with the company, so you're not going to have much free time yourself outside of work. You got your Sundays and Saturdays, so you're going to be doing errands or something on those days, or hopefully chilling sometimes, right? Or you're just going to get burnt out. These nomikais, filling up any off time that you have after work, and it's not every day, but every week you'll have a couple available to you, and every now and then you feel obligated to go out. And Japanese people way more than us foreigners, right? These are taking up time that you could be using on making, friends outside of work, like surrounding your personal interest or whatever. So that is one cultural reason. The other reason is I do think Japanese people are more reserved. And so even if someone sees you and like wants to be your friend, right, they're going to have a lot harder time approaching you. First of all, like when they're surrounded by everybody, you know, they're going to be have a more difficult time approaching you and being like, hey, you want to go hang out and do this? That's not the case for everyone, especially if they're your senior, probably invite you to stuff. In the US, I don't know, I feel like everybody's way more open to just like, hey, what are you doing on this day? You want to go hang out and do this? There's probably that like fear of not being able to communicate well as well. If they don't talk with you on a daily basis, they're probably like, oh, does he speak Japanese well enough to actually hang out and be fun with? I do feel people are way more reserved about speaking up to you here. That point was really hit home for me when we had a worker come in from overseas. I believe it was French. You know, his first day here, he's like, oh, hey, you want to do this? You want to do this? And we connected because we're both foreigners, but at the same time, he was just talking to everybody so freely and inviting them to go hang out after this. And I was like, oh yeah, people actually do that outside of Japan. So that was really refreshing to remember. And, you know, I should probably do more of that myself. Social hesitation is definitely a real thing here.
That leads me to my next point. You know, I'm sure a lot of the isolation felt here is by people here that aren't confident enough in their Japanese ability to reach out themselves and make friends. Like here, if I were to start inviting people out or something, I could actually do it pretty well. I could actually do it like no problem. I'm confident enough in my ability at this point. I only speak Japanese on a daily basis, and there's no miscommunication between my peers and I, so I'm pretty confident in my ability. But if you were new here, certainly when I was new here too, you know, I was at a loss, you know. I mean, anyone that didn't speak English, I could talk about very basic things with them, but it was definitely going to be a struggle to do anything fun together, right? Like it would have been a very slow back and forth, which can be fun for both people, I guess, if it's a learning experience, but I think they would have got tired of me when I was first here and didn't have much Japanese under my belt. It's going to be, I mean, that's the same in any foreign country, right? If you don't know the language. Of course, most countries know English better than Japan knows English. I mean, I think Japanese English knowledge is among some of the least in the world among developed countries. I know in Asia, like people coming from overseas tend to be pretty well spoken in English in my experience, but there's that real language barrier of not many people knowing Japanese well enough to communicate with Japanese, and then Japanese being really bad with English, right? It's going to be the number one barrier. So for my part, what am I going to do? Like I said, I don't have that many friends here, and the ones I do, you know, we only meet every so often. So I'm going to try to get more involved in my local community. Specifically, I want to start going to music houses, live houses they call them, you know. I've never been to one, but I'm really interested in like kind of indie bands and stuff. So I'm going to start doing that, seeing if I can meet more people, finding a place to go regularly, you know, whether it's like the music scene like that, or just a local izakaya or something. You know, some place that I can go and become like a common face, and then I can meet people that are there all the time. I want to be more involved in the community in some way, and so I'm going to start doing that. Other than that, I'm actually pretty starved for like English speaking in my day-to-day life. The only time I really speak English is when I call back home to my friends and family in the US. So it would be nice to like speak English more in my day-to-day life. I have kind of the opposite problem, I think, from a lot of people here is like I have no foreign friends. Like the only people I talk to on a daily are Japanese, right? We talk in Japanese because they're both Japanese, and then my foreign friends are Chinese, but they don't speak English well enough to communicate. Kind of contradicts what I said earlier, but they specifically don't speak English that well, a couple of them. So we speak in Japanese as our common language. Might want to start making some foreign friends now. So those are the two avenues I'm going to hit. Start hitting up local places to be more involved in my community, and then start reaching out to people who've came in from overseas and getting involved in some of those international communities. Hopefully I can start the next year strong, making building up a better community around me. Then at work, I want to start reaching out to people in other departments, you know, outside of engineering, and maybe get to know them better. You know, because I have a very limited set of people in my day-to-day, even though we go out drinking and stuff together, there's a very limited set of people, and the company's much bigger than that, right? So I might start reaching out to them and making more friends there. What do you guys think? Do you have much experience making friends in a overseas environment? I know it can be tough sometimes because it's like all my life, you know, I've been building up these friends, old connections, family and everything in your home country, and then you move to a place that's completely new, specifically in a place where you don't speak the native language of that place. What have you all done in that situation? Have any advice, thoughts? please let me know in the comments. I really appreciate your comments every time, guys, and I try to respond to all of them, so just please let me know whatever you think. Have a good day. Bye.